a 15 on 20 in my first math test. Now, I was okay with this until I turned over my shoulder to see my friend crying endless tears. And as I traced a teardrop down to her paper, I noticed in all red, scribbled ink, a 16 on 20. In the 7th grade, I became aware of my boredom. I didn't mind my then scrawny limbs, petite waist, and acne scars, until a boy from my class chose to point it out and nicknamed me, get this, crater face. In the 8th grade, I started to hate speaking in class. My legs would shake, and my tongue would fumble out words that made absolutely no sense. My whole being yearned for a perfect little world to fall right into my arms and embrace me. Newton's third law of motion states that for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And when you try to bend the unyielding universe to your own will, you will inevitably break. 3 years later, I look back, wanting to desperately comfort my younger self. But with questions still longing in my head. Why do we all seem to define and strive for perfection in a world that is inherently imperfect? Why do we never feel like we're enough? Why do we tear ourselves down for not being able to beat insane statistical odds like being at the top 1% of our class or in the state-leading varsity team? Well, maybe the answer lies in one of the greatest academic theories of all time, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that puts self-actualization at the very top of the pyramid. This is to say, it is within our innate psychology that once we have satisfied our basic physiological needs, our brain only seeks to do more and more, to become more and more. And at first glance, it's pretty amazing that we can do this. I mean, crocodiles don't have the ability or the desire to perhaps create art, and neither do monkeys care about earning the highest possible salary. Only us humans have managed to climb up the ladder of evolution to a point where we can self-actualize. But what we often fail to recognize is the paradoxical outcome of this very situation. The closer that we get to self-actualization, the more skills we acquire, and the higher our ceiling becomes. Yet, the higher our ceiling becomes, the further away we actually are from being self-actualized. This leads us into a self-sabotage cycle that seems to go on forever. A cycle that we seem to translate into every aspect of life. After all, society invented Superman, not average man. And no one wants to be the latter. But eventually, we come to realize that even the best of the best out there, those who put up the skyscrapers, write the bestsellers, perform on international stages, may in fact be the suffering ones. Whereas those individuals who, without agony, can bear an ordinary life, the so-called contented mediocrities, may in fact be the emotional superstars, the aristocrats of the spirit, and the captains of the heart. So how do we radically change our beliefs that are otherwise set in stone? Well, somewhere along our childhood, we tend to derive the impression that we must be extraordinary in order to deserve a comfortable place on earth. However, this is simply not the case. We have to start embracing the ordinary and realizing the huge potential in the little moments of life. We can't all be Shakespeare's at writing, Picasso's at painting, and Michael Jordan's at basketball. And eventually, once we are beyond the expectations of others, we may come to realize that life's true luxuries may comprise nothing more than simplicity. Little kids waving to you at the grocery store. crunching autumn leaves below your feet, painting a masterpiece without an audience, loving without too much hope or despair, hot baths, cool wind, and perhaps a bowl of sliced apples with some peanut butter and a little bite of dark chocolate.